Right. So each host, I'm sure there are new hosts now. Every group, please nominate somebody who will just consolidate. What are the two big shifts for each of the 5 themes? Essentially, what we will do from this is we will synthesize them and they will be shared with the government as a starting point. Yes, please.
Okay, so the two main ones were that
The area was?
micro business.
So micro entrepreneurs and employment.
Micro entrepreneur, which is businesses with no more than 2 to 3 employees, but not self-employed, right? This is the whole category. We felt that there was a need for the government to identify key areas that they need to sponsor and create certification and advocacy and knowledge for. So whether it's plumbing or tourism or whatever.
So basically, where are the biggest opportunity areas?
And to identify where there are gaps and where there are needs, and to also provide certification for those verticals. Because so a plumber could be basically a plumber at one level, or a master plumber who can do a whole house.
The paradigm shift that I'm hearing you say is not just start skilling, but where are the biggest opportunities or need gaps today, so that they can be guided so that at least the work is there.
Correct.
In those spaces.
Correct. And
that's a good one.
And certification is a critical part of that.
Sure.
Some kind of bodies, like accountants have bodies, doctors have bodies.
So basically, you are saying demand-led, and not supply first.
Correct. And this includes,
that's a shift.
And that includes skills development, training. Those all fall under the same category.
Surely.
The second one we felt was that there's a huge fear of doing business in India, which for a small person to declare more than 6 lakhs income a year is a problem. And so people tend to hide a lot of their income. They don't want to be a part of the main economy. So how to make government can create advocacy and transparency to show that somebody who is doing small amounts of income can actually still do it properly, register, be a company or a small entrepreneur, open a bank account, do it properly. Those things are missing, and the startup and close down culture is a very critical part. So if I wanted to start a small plumbing business, and I'm hiding it from my home, and I'm taking cash only, am I being a part of this great new economy? There was one more I wanted to add, which is measurement, data, which is that if the state can monitor the ecosystem around the state, we will see where the gaps and the shortfalls are.
So the one paradigm shift that I'm hearing you say is that the previous one, that from a point where it is all kind of cash economy and kind of sidelined economy to becoming mainstream.
Yes.
Right. So how do you mainstream micro entrepreneurs?
Correct.
Is the question.
Correct.
From a financial perspective. Sure.
And one of the biggest shortfalls is that we do not have a good living picture of the ecosystem. How do we measure? How do we do data analytics? How do we see where the trends are? What do we need more of in which area? Those kind of analytic information is critical also.
Actually, the two big ones are really, one is the mainstreaming of it is huge, and the opportunity-led, demand-led. And they could be different in different parts of the state. Yes, so that's... Thank you. Those are two very good recommendations. But who will pick it up from there? Healthcare? Or if you... it's okay. We are going to cover all 5. Huh? We need to. Yes. So for farming has the mic.
All right. Richie and farming has the mic.
Yes, please.
So we were asked to sort of think about policy paradigm shift around how to improve or promote sustainable farming and improve livelihoods.
The productivity and sustainability of farming, yes.
Right. So we sort of had a pretty rich discussion here, and so we were trying to get into the how, and then we sort of lifted ourselves out and trying to figure out what are the fundamental things that need to be thought about as a question. So a couple of things came up. One was sort of we had consensus around build the status of farming and turn it into an attractive profession for the next generation. So that means basically thinking through, from the point of view of ag education, providing the right kind of information to the farmers on time, thinking about how they can leverage digitization, links to markets, etc. So it becomes more attractive. The other piece is actually sort of break that boundary even and let the farmer think of also themselves as an entrepreneur. So think of themselves having an asset and how best you utilize that asset. It may not necessarily be for farming. You may get a high return and an improved life if you think of it another way. So sort of open that door.
So the first one, if you notice what they are talking about, which is very fundamental today, farming is not even an option for the next generation, or very low, to make it a highly attractive opportunity. So attracting next generation into farming is surely a paradigm shift. And the second one is a farmer as an entrepreneur. And not only a farmer, but as a holistic entrepreneur, making that shift. Surely. And even in the government's records, by the way, they believe that each household needs to have 3 livelihoods for it to be sustainable. 3 sources of income, not just one. So that's where the risk is. Surely. Thank you. So those are 2 good paradigm shifts. We finally did arrive at them. Great. Yes. Who will go next? Healthcare or education? We'll come to that. We'll just complete all the 5. We'll pick the pluses after that. Just to make sure we covered the essential ground. Yes, please.
So I think we covered a range of topics here. So I'm going to anchor this around bridging the gap between supply and demand. Having a competent individual fill a specific position. First, tapping into rural talent and the accessibility of global thinking on a local scale, while preserving local values. I think one of the main points that was brought up in our table was education in English, because that is seen as the most global and unifying language as of now, especially in this day and age of global technology. I think that we need to find a sustainable way of introducing rural talent into the global playing field while still managing to retain a local identity, because that is where true individual thought comes from. And we shouldn't disregard the value of one's local culture and language, but while still managing to establish a unified country. And I think the second area was the need for interdisciplinary education, offering options to students, letting them know that there is not only one correct way or one correct career path to pursue. They can combine interest with monetary success. Every single option is open to them, and we need to give institutions autonomy in terms of hiring teachers. Maybe a teacher does not have to have a PhD necessarily, but can display the adequate talent and competency to be able to teach a course. We need to be able to essentially let people know that your qualification is not necessarily the be-all and end-all to success.
Sure. Right. So the basic one was demand and supply gap, which is I assume in terms of the employability and where the employment opportunities are, bridging that gap. Do I understand that?
Yes.
And the second one that there was the global local values and global thought. That right now it is perhaps local values getting eroded while aspiring for global, and perhaps eroding the local and not even getting the global.
Yes.
That's the basic shift. And interdisciplinary to open up career paths.
Yes.
Really, and not close them as we are still continuing to do. And autonomy to focus on application rather than on conforming to syllabus of educational institutions.
Autonomy also in the structure, the way education system is.
It's a flexible syllabus.
Surely.
And I think autonomous thought at a primary level is also very important.
So the last sector, thank you. So we have some fundamental suggestions coming from the education team, and now. Yes, last 2.
I think health can finish.
Yes, health and Bangalore. We'll finish with Bangalore, right, as today's focus has been.
Yeah, so
Then we might start with it, but we'll conclude with it. Yeah.
the 2 fundamental shifts. So point number 1, movement towards a preventative healthcare policy.
So from a curative to a preventative.
Healthcare policy. I mean,
Surely.
today, that focus has to come from at a federal level and at a state level. Obviously, health is a state.
And
subject.
what they were very interestingly discussing was there is no real policy around preventive healthcare which has anywhere near the rigor as the curative one has today.
So that's
Somehow it's left to individuals.
yeah. So I mean, there is some push that we see around yoga and Ayurveda and all these medicines. Obviously, the state can't pick winners, but if that can be made available to people, let people choose whatever they
Yeah,
want.
today it's considered to be a lifestyle hobby.
Right.
It's not integral to health care, right? It's whereas it has to be, is what I'm hearing you say.
So
That's clearly one paradigm shift. Any other?
Yeah, that's point number one. Point number two is today we are obviously a young nation by 2020, but we'll have to prepare for the future. So that means we have to look at old age care as well. So while our focus today is on getting youngsters, because we are saying, okay, youngsters can earn money and take care of themselves, but we have to figure out a way of taking care of the old
Senior
age
citizens.
senior citizens, old age care,
Fair,
whatever
fair,
you would
fair.
call it. So why? Because I mean that shift also borders on social care. Today, all of us are scared to go into a hospital.
Sure,
I mean,
sure, sure.
80% of India is in villages. I'm sure they are also as scared as most
Right,
of us
right,
are
right.
here in this room. So, can we look at social care where we integrate aspects of old age care in that?
Sure.
So these are the two.
These are the two big ones?
I mean, we have more, but I'll stop here.
Right. So we have the two big ones here. Yes, please.
Acha,
Sustainable Bangalore.
finally, whatever discussions may happen, ultimately Bangalore will be there and will continue to grow.
Surely.
So the first immediate thing that we are suggesting is that a new alternative water source has to be found for Bangalore.
So so water sustainability. is your
Water
first
to be
question.
brought, sustainable will come little later. So we are thinking some new water source has to be found. Of course, there is some project to bring it all the way from this one, Sharavati, Jog Falls. Yeah.
Are you saying beyond Kaveri?
Beyond Kaveri. You have to bring beyond
Okay,
Kaveri.
new water source.
Yeah. Without that, because
It could be
Bangalore is going to grow. Because
it could be our roofs, right?
no, we are coming to that. Roofs, we are look.
Sure,
that
sure.
is cosmetic, not cosmetic. That can be only a supportive.
Sure.
It can't be an alternative. It can be supportive.
Okay.
Second thing, second suggestion is that the capital appreciation of the land is not coming to the public arena. Land appreciation happening around Bangalore, where future Bangalore is going to come. The land appreciation is not coming, but it is getting away into the private. It doesn't really help the public.
So no, help me understand that. What is the shift there?
Land value gets appreciated because your Bangalore has come up, government investments come. So something today 5 lakhs, after 2 years it becomes 1 crore per acre. This appreciation doesn't come into the public domain.
So public is not aware of it?
No. It doesn't come into public domain.
Okay, so
It has to be captured into the public.
It's a private thing
It
which
goes
happens.
to a reality sector. It doesn't get factored into the public. How to bring it into the sector is something that we have to innovatively think.
So where are the paradigm shifts needed? So one is in terms of water,
Yes.
water source. You're saying water access, and the second is clearly. in the
Second
area
is
of-
ensuring that this appreciated money comes into at least part of it. Full cannot come because then entrepreneurs. So reality should become a partner along with the farmers, and part of the money should come into the public system so that entrepreneurs will be able to get land at a reasonable price. Farmers and realty will become partners so that the money gets shared with the three.
So basically, real estate appreciation. You're saying how we how
Gets
do we
into the public system.
How do we deal with that?
Yes, so that
Today
it gets
it
into
is-
the public system.
It's private today. You want to make it public.
Public, in the sense, part of it at least into the public
sure,
system,
sure,
so that farmers and entrepreneurs will get reasonable share into that system.
right.
And secondly, this system of aggregation will ensure that there is whatever you are talking, water conservation, garbage management, etc., can be self-contained.
Okay. I think we've completed all the 5. So what we have here are recommendations of how we need to approach these questions differently, right? So for all these 5 areas, what you've recommended is a 2-3 fundamental shifts we need to make. That's the innovation, right? Start with, at a thought level. We've defined what shift, and now, of course, the next part is how do we design the solution around these. Thank you very much. So we've harnessed, I think, the collective thought of the group. Please.
Yeah, perfect, Rajiv. Thank you very much. Yeah, from my side also, first and foremost, I thank everybody for coming. I think this was a great group of people. It was very engaging, very interesting, very controversial at times. I really enjoyed myself, and I think we had a number of thoughts, one of them talking about the necessity of making things happen, defining projects, lighthouse projects, getting them executed on the ground, tracking them, because we want to establish credibility of government, right? That was one important point. The second important point is about the cooperation with government, right? I personally love Angela Merkel, not romantically, right? But the point is simply, if you're not fighting this war with government, you're fighting with one hand behind your back, that is not a good solution. Another point that we had is options, solutions for India. We are large enough, we are 1.5 billion in the not too distant future. Yes, we can go global, all okay, we don't really need to. We need solutions today to have an impact on the 80% of people that are living outside of Bangalore. Bangalore is great, Bangalore is a global brand, Bangalore will continue to be a global brand, will drive IT, will drive electronics, will drive defense, no doubt about it. 80% of the state and 70% roughly of India need to be taken care of in an environment where software bots, where Industry 4.0, where IoT are potentially taking jobs away, not adding jobs or taking well-paid jobs away. So this is a significant challenge that we need to address. And we need to find ways for, we discussed at one table, finding income models for farmers that can restart the rural economy. NREGA was one example where people had some money to spend, could take some loans, maybe finish that house that they were looking forward to for a long time. How do we make that happen, not on a subsidy basis, but based on, for example, solar energy generation using available agricultural land? So I think overall, I really, again, I'm deeply honored to be here today. Very, very happy to have had an opportunity to interact with all of you. I'd like to thank you for your contribution, and I look forward to many more interactions. So thanks again.